Peter waddles into the living room wearing neon workout gear, a sweatband, and holding a blender full of something suspiciously brown. Lois, Peter, what is that? And why does it smell like bacon and cough syrup? Peter, Lois, it's my new protein shake. I'm starting a fitness influencer career. I call it the meat-only diet. Brian, so? Atkins, but without the science? Peter, pfft, science is for people who can't eat a whole rotisserie chicken in one sitting. Cutaway gag number 1, we see Peter filming a YouTube video in his backyard. He's doing push-ups but stops after 2 to eat a cheeseburger. Peter, out of breath, remember folks, if your heart's not racing, eat more bacon until it is. Cutaway gag number 2, Peter at a fitness expo, standing next to a ripped guy lifting weights. Peter's holding 2 giant turkey legs. Peter, I'm working on my drumstick curls. The ripped guy faints from high cholesterol just from looking at him. Back to living room, Lois shakes her head. Peter, this is ridiculous. You can't just eat meat and call it exercise. Peter grins. Oh, yeah, tell that to my new sponsor, Artery Clotters Incorporated.
Act I, The Spark, opening, Griffin living room. Chris is watching TV when a commercial comes on. Be the star of your own magic show. Join the Quahog Magic Academy. No experience needed. Chris, whoa, I could totally be a magician. Peter, Chris, magic is just lies you do with your hands. That's why I quit being a magician and a masseuse. Cutaway. Peter massaging someone, pulling a rabbit out of their back. Customer screams. Lois. Chris, maybe this is good for you. It's creative and keeps you busy. Stewie. And potentially dangerous, which means I'm interested. Act 2, The Training Quahog Magic Academy. Chris meets his teacher, the amazing Alfredo, who insists that magic is 80% showmanship, 20% not getting caught. Chris learns card tricks, drops the deck every time. Disappearing coin, accidentally swallows it. Sawing a box in half, uses Peter, who insists he felt a tickle. Peter, I'm fine, Lois. See? My legs are, wait, where are my legs? Cutaway. Peter's legs at the Drunken Clam, drinking a beer. B-plot. Brian's dating trick. Brian sees Chris's magic gear and borrows it to impress a woman at the park. Brian, pick a card, any card. Woman, is this part where you get my number? Brian, yes, and your Wi-Fi password. Stewie catches him and decides to help by sabotaging him with tricks that backfire. Stewie, here's a trick. Make her disappear by talking about your novel. Brian, too real, Stewie. Act 3. The big show. Chris signs up for the Quahog Talent Night. Lois is nervous. Peter is his hype man, and Meg is forced to hand out flyers. Chris's act starts rocky. He forgets his opening trick and accidentally sets a silk scarf on fire. But then, he pulls off a flawless levitation. Stewie's secretly working a pulley from backstage. Peter rushes into the living room with rollerblades on his feet, a helmet perched awkwardly on his head, and a firm grip on a garden rake, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Lois. Peter, what on earth are you doing now? Peter. Lois, I've just invented a new sport. Extreme backyard anything. You take a random activity and make it dangerous. Brian. So basically, it's just you being reckless but with a name. Cutaway gag number 1. Peter, in his typical outfit, is mowing the lawn while blindfolded, wildly swinging the mower. Peter, see? It's more fun when you don't know where the flowers are. The camera pans to reveal Tom Tucker's car parked nearby with a giant chunk of the hood missing. Cutaway gag number 2. Peter is in the backyard attempting to grill burgers while bouncing up and down on a pogo stick. Peter, gotta keep moving, Lois. It's part of the sport. He bounces too high, flips over the fence, and lands in Mort's swimming pool. Mort, clad in goggles and flippers, screams and flails. Back in the living room, Lois. Peter, you're going to hurt yourself. Peter, that's the point, Lois. Pain is just your body's way of saying, nice one, bro. Peter strolls into the kitchen holding a roll of aluminum foil and a bicycle helmet. Lois. Peter, please tell me you're not starting another weird side hustle. Peter. Nope. I'm starting a new TikTok series, Frugal with Peter. I'm teaching folks how to save money the Quahog way. Brian, let me guess, it's going to involve questionable hygiene and breaking several laws. Cutaway gag number 1. Peter at a laundromat, pulling wet clothes out of the washer. Peter, why pay for the dryer when you can just strap, empty your car, and drive around all day? He speeds past, clothes flapping wildly. One pair of underwear flies off and lands on Mayor West's head. Mayor West, at last, my prophecy is fulfilled. Cutaway gag number 2. Peter at a fancy steakhouse. Peter, order water, bring your own steak in your pocket. Boom. Dinner for free. He pulls a greasy steak out of his jacket. The waiter faints. Back in kitchen, Lois. Peter, that's not saving money. That's just being gross. Peter, well, gross is just efficient with bad PR. If you want, I can make the next one a long, 3-storyline episode parody where all the characters' plots collide in the final scene. That's peak Family Guy energy. In the Griffin kitchen, Lois suggests Peter take a job at the Quahog Public Library, enticing him with the idea of being paid to read. Peter admits his last literary adventure was a picture book about a pants-clad bear, but Lois insists the quiet might suit him, except when he's sneaking cheese at night. Peter arrives at the library adorned in stereotypical librarian attire, though his interpretation of order and peace involves ordering pizza and piecing out on breaks. True to form, instead of shelving books, Peter creates a disruptive fun zone, narrates Goosebumps with theatrical smoke effects, and hosts a trivia game with answers always being himself. Meanwhile, Stewie becomes fixated on the library's restricted section, convinced it holds forbidden books or sinister works of fanfiction. Enlisting Brian's skeptical assistance, Stewie orchestrates complex heists with fake identification, elaborate distraction tactics, and various disguises. Peter's antics lead to dissatisfied patrons, kids playing tag, and an elderly man trying to forecast stocks using a VR headset. Ignoring warnings from the head librarian, Peter stirs the pot further with a book signing event, adding live music, balloons, and chili, predictably leading to a mess. As chaos ensues from the chili mishap, Peter is fired, but not before Stewie sneaks into the restricted section, uncovering a mundane VHS tape collection including Police Academy 4, far from the treasure he imagined. Back at home, Lois teases Peter about his brief library tenure, while Stewie plans to destroy the trivial VHS as an act of altruism. Ultimately, Peter remains unfazed, clutching his book Boss, name tag as a token of his library legacy, and Stewie, torching Police Academy 4 to Brian's relief, ensures his brief adventure leaves no trace behind. Act I, the Discovery, opening, Griffin living room. Peter and Chris are playing a co-op shooter on the TV. Peter, got you, Chris. And that's how you win in real life too, by throwing grenades at your problems. Lois walks in with laundry. You two have been glued to that game all day. Chris, you want to try, Mom? Lois, please, video games aren't my thing. 5 minutes later, Lois picks up a controller and instantly dominates. Chris, Mom just got a triple kill. Peter, wait a minute. Lois, have you been hiding your gamer powers from us? Cutaway. Teenage Lois at an arcade in the 80s, destroying everyone at Pac-Man while wearing fingerless gloves and sunglasses. Act 2. Lois gets noticed. Chris posts a clip of Lois destroying him in-game. It goes viral in the gaming community. Meg. Wow, Mom. The comments are calling you Mom Boss 42. Peter. No. That's supposed to be my gamer tag, except I spelled it MomBus24 by accident. Soon, a pro gaming team reaches out to Lois for a charity tournament. Stewie. So, you're telling me Mother's newfound hand-eye coordination is finally useful for something other than chopping vegetables? Brian. And apparently making Peter cry. B-plot. Stewie's pro move. Stewie, jealous of Lois's sudden fame, decides to join an esports league for toddlers. Stewie. It's time to crush the competition, literally, if they get in my way.
Act I, The Break, opening, Griffin living room, Lois, Peter, you've been on the couch for 3 days. You need to get up and do something productive. Peter, Lois, I am being productive. I'm testing this couch's ability to handle extreme loafing. Chris runs in, Dad. They're filming a movie in Quahog and need extras. Peter, extras? You mean background people who get free food and don't have to memorize lines? Lois, I've found my calling. Cutaway, Peter in a medieval battle scene, stopping mid-charge to eat at the craft services table. Act 2, first day on set. Peter shows up in his own costume, a Hawaiian shirt and swim trunks, even though the movie is set in 1940s New York. Director, wardrobe. Peter, no thanks, I'm good. He's supposed to walk across the street in the background, but keeps waving at the camera, photobombing serious scenes. Peter, look, Lois, I'm a star. Lois, Peter, you're ruining the shot. B-plot, Stewie's cinematic debut. Stewie decides to audition for a role in the same movie. Brian, you can't even pass for a normal baby, Stewie. Stewie, nonsense. I'm method acting as an adorable child with a hidden arsenal. He gets cast as a baby left in a basket on a doorstep, but demands his own trailer and Evian bottles, for my bath only. Act 3, Peter's big scene. The director reluctantly gives Peter a small speaking role, newspaper vendor number 3. Line, extra. Extra. Read all about it. Peter, pizza. Pizza. Read all about it. Director, cut. Again. After multiple failed takes, they replace him, but Peter keeps sneaking back into scenes dressed as different background characters, a mailman, a nun, even a lamppost. Cutaway, Peter standing completely still in a lamppost costume, whispering, I'm method. Act 4, the premiere. Months later, the movie premieres at Quahog Theater. The Griffin family watches eagerly. Lois, Peter, let's just hope you didn't embarrass yourself. On screen, Peter appears in nearly every scene, always in the background, doing something dumb, eating a sandwich behind a funeral procession. Riding a unicycle through a police chase. Sitting in a rowboat in the middle of a street scene. The audience roars with laughter. The movie unintentionally becomes a comedy hit. Act V, Epilogue, Griffin Kitchen. Lois, well, Peter, I guess you're famous? Peter, yep, and I already got calls for more roles. Next week I'm the guy in grocery store who slips on grapes. Stewie, pathetic. Meanwhile, my scene was cut because apparently baby pulls out grenade doesn't fit the tone. Cutaway, Stewie holding a grenade on set while the director screams, cut. 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 Tag scene, Peter's lamppost costume is now in the living room. Peter, it's for when I want to be seen, but not really seen. Lois, Peter, that's just you hiding from chores.
Act I, The Idea, opening, Drunken Clam. Peter's complaining about his burger being too small. Peter, I could write a review about this and save other people from tiny burger syndrome. Quagmire, or you could just order a bigger burger. Peter, no, Quagmire, I'm talking about becoming a professional food critic. Cutaway, Peter in a fancy restaurant spitting out escargot, yelling, "This tastes like garden slime." Lois, Peter, food critics have refined taste and write well. Peter, Lois, I have refined taste. Remember the time I could tell the difference between ketchup and catsup? Act 2, Peter's first reviews. Peter starts a blog called Griffin Grub Guide and begins reviewing every place in Quahog. Gives the bowling alley nachos 5 stars because they taste like winning. Slams the salad bar at the grocery store for not having enough cake. Writes an entire review of a vending machine. Surprisingly, his blunt, ridiculous reviews gain a following. Local restaurants start begging him to visit. B-plot, Stewie's fine dining. Stewie, insulted by Peter's lack of sophistication, opens his own high-class pop-up restaurant, Chez Stew. Brian, your menu has 2 items. Stewie, yes, the entree and the apology if you can't handle it. Act 3, the invite. A fancy new place, Le Chateau du Quahog, invites Peter for a special review. One sunny morning in Quahog, Peter burst into the kitchen, eyes wide with excitement. Peter, Lois, I just realized something incredible. If I open a zoo, but only have 1 animal, I can still charge full admission if the animal is really cool. Lois, Peter, what kind of animal would be so special that people would pay to see it? Peter, a dolphin that can drive a stick shift. Cut to a scene of Peter in the driveway, wearing aviator sunglasses, teaching a dolphin named Carl to drive his old station wagon. Carl honks the horn repeatedly, causing Quagmire to run outside. Quagmire, whoa, is that a dolphin driving a car? Giggity. Of course, things spiraled quickly. Carl drove into the Drunken Clam, ordering 3 martinis and somehow racking up a $500 bar tab. By the end of the day, Peter's zoo was shut down by the city because, as Joe explained, you can't just call something a zoo if it's literally just a drunk dolphin in a parking lot. Peter shrugged. Well, it still made more sense than my last idea. Rent a goat for emotional support during traffic jams. Act I, the setup, opening, Griffin Kitchen and Lois. Peter, the Hendersons need a babysitter for the weekend, and I told them you'd do it. Peter, Lois, the only thing I've ever successfully babysat was a pizza, and I still ate it. Cutaway, Peter sitting on a couch watching a pizza box, then whispering, "You've been a good pizza, but it's time." Lois, come on, Peter. It's just 2 kids, ages 5 and 8. How bad could it be? Peter, Lois, that's what they say in every horror movie before the doll starts walking. Act 2, babysitting chaos. Peter arrives with snacks, video games, and a blow-up pool, just in case. The kids instantly outsmart him, hiding his phone, convincing him bedtime is midnight, and tricking him into building a pillow fort that blocks the kitchen. Peter, okay, guys, let's calm down. Kid, race you to the roof. Peter, wait, what? B-plot, Stewie's babysitting business. Stewie hears about Peter getting paid and decides to start his own babysitting service for toddlers. Brian, aren't you a toddler yourself? Stewie, exactly. I understand the clientele. Also, they can't sue me. Stewie's methods include reading bedtime stories in Latin, serving organic snacks, tiny steaks, charging extra for nap time security, Brian standing at the door with sunglasses. Act 3, total meltdown. Peter tries to put the kids to bed by bribing them with candy, which only makes them hyper. They Cover the walls in peanut butter art. Fill the blow-up pool with cereal and milk. Duct tape Peter's shoes to the ceiling. Cutaway. Peter hanging upside down, sipping milk directly from the pool with a straw. Act 4. Lois saves the day. Lois shows up to check in, finds the house a disaster. Act I. The new job. Opening. Griffin living room. Lois. Peter, you've been home all week. Don't you have work? Peter, I quit. I got bored of beer. Also, I drank all the samples. Cutaway. Peter trying to taste test at the brewery, sipping from a kiddie pool full of beer. Lois. So what now? Peter. I saw an ad for Quahog City Tours. All I have to do is sit on a bus and talk about stuff. I already do that for free. Act 2. First day on the bus. Tour bus. Morning. Peter wears a microphone headset and a captain's hat. Peter. Welcome to Quahog. On your left is the old library. Fun fact, I once used its bathroom after eating an entire bucket of shrimp. Tourists laugh nervously. Peter starts making up history. That statue is of George Washington's lesser-known cousin, Barry Washington, inventor of the spork. This building was once a hot dog factory until it became a bank, then back into a hot dog factory, then into a hot dog bank. Cutaway. A bank teller handing out hot dogs instead of cash. B-plot. Stewie's historic scam. Stewie overhears Peter and decides to start his own exclusive walking tours for rich tourists. Stewie. Here we have the alley where Benjamin Franklin invented roller skates. Brian. That's a dumpster. Stewie. Yes, a dumpster full of history. Act 3. The review bomb. Peter's bus tours go viral after a clip of him telling tourists, on your right is my friend Paul's house. He owes me $5. Tour company owner. Peter, your nonsense tours are pulling in record numbers, but the city's mad about your facts. The mayor demands Peter pass a local history test or lose his job. Peter, no problem. How hard can history be? Cutaway. Peter taking the test and writing dinosaur times as every answer. Act 4. Cramming for history. Lois tutors Peter on real Quahog history. Lois. Okay, the founder was Peter. Hot dog berry? Lois. No. It was Amos Quahog in 1672. Peter. Was he hot dog berry? Act V. The final tour. Peter passes the test by the skin of his teeth, thanks to Stewie feeding him answers through an earpiece. On his official tour, he starts with real facts, but quickly slides back into nonsense. Peter. And here we have City Hall, where Elvis once fought a bear for the title of mayor. And on your left, the world's largest meatball. Please do not poke it. Tourists cheer. Lois sighs. Well, at least they're happy. Tag scene. Stewie's exclusive tour ends with him charging tourists $100 to pet the raccoon that lives in the Griffin's garage. Stewie. Careful, he bites. Raccoon, wearing a hat, only if undertipped. Peter walks into the kitchen wearing safety goggles and holding a beaker full of purple liquid. Lois. Peter, why are you dressed like Bill Nye's weird cousin? Peter. Lois, I'm doing experiments for my new YouTube channel. Peter, science for regular idiots. I'm teaching science using everyday stuff. Brian. Translation. You're about to blow something up. Cutaway gag number 1. Peter outside, holding 2 soda bottles and a roll of Mentos. Peter. Science says if I put these in the bottle, it'll make a fountain. But if I put all of them in, it'll make a bigger fountain. It explodes, launching the soda bottle into the sky and hitting a passing airplane. Pilot, over intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we appear to have been struck by a Diet Coke. No need to panic. Cutaway gag number 2. Peter trying to measure the speed of light by turning a flashlight on and off really fast. Peter. I think I caught it. Nope, that was just a moth. Back in the kitchen, Lois. Peter, science is about careful study, not chaos. Peter, then why do scientists wear goggles?
Huh.
Because things explode, Lois.
Things.
Explode. Peter walks into the kitchen wearing safety goggles and holding a beaker full of purple liquid.
Act I, how it starts, opening, Griffin kitchen, Lois is reading the paper. Lois, Quahog High is looking for substitute teachers. The pay's decent, and they just need a warm body with no criminal record. Peter, and I'm at least one of those things. Cutaway, Peter at a job interview. Interviewer, do you have a criminal record? Peter, no, but I do have the soundtrack to Space Jam. Lois, Peter, teaching is serious work. Peter, Lois, I've been teaching people for years, mostly how not to carry a lit candle in their pants. Act 2, First Day Fiasco, Quahog High, classroom. Peter's wearing a crooked tie and holding a briefcase full of snacks. Peter, all right, class, I'm Mr. Griffin. Today's lesson, life skills. Step 1, if you find cake, eat it before anyone else sees it. He replaces the history lesson with important YouTube videos and holds Pajama Olympics in gym class. Chris, Dad, you can't just make stuff up. Peter, tell that to whoever invented math. Cutaway, caveman Peter drawing random squiggles on a wall. Other caveman, wow, numbers. B-plot, Stewie's rival teacher. Stewie's daycare gets a new teacher, Ms. Willow, who's charming, patient, and actually listens to the kids. Stewie, she's making me look bad in front of my minions. This will not stand. Brian, they're toddlers, Stewie. Stewie, and easily influenced voters. Stewie tries multiple schemes, swapping her flashcards with ones that say poop over and over. Replacing storytime books with the art of war. None of them work, she outsmarts him every time. Act 3, the parents meeting. Peter's teaching methods get attention, and not the good kind. The principal calls a parents' meeting. Principal Shepard, Mr. Griffin, you've replaced science class with hot dog eating contests. Peter, yeah, and guess what? Nobody failed. One parent shouts, my kid learned how to burp the alphabet instead of algebra. Peter, exactly. And your kid's now fluent in 2 languages. Act 4, redemption. Sort of when the regular teacher calls in sick during an important exam, Peter is the only sub available. Lois convinces him to try actually teaching. Peter, all right, kids, today we're gonna learn about American history. He tells a wildly inaccurate version involving Abraham Lincoln fighting a T-Rex. Surprisingly, the kids ace the test because they actually paid attention. Cutaway, Lincoln riding a T-Rex yelling, 407 chomps ago. Act V, Epilogue, Griffin living room, Lois, so, you got fired and thanked by the kids? Peter, yep. Apparently, they learned more from me in a week than from their regular teacher all year. Chris, mostly how to burp the alphabet.
Act I, the offer. Opening, Griffin kitchen. Lois is on the phone. Lois. Yes, Carol. Of course we'll be at your wedding. What? You can't find a wedding planner? Peter, say no more, Lois. I'll do it. Lois. Peter, wedding planning is a lot of work. Peter, Lois, I've planned tons of things. Like that time I organized a chili cook-off in a bounce house. Cutaway. Peter bouncing midair while holding a pot of chili, spilling it everywhere as kids scream. Act 2, Peter's vision. Peter immediately starts brainstorming. Bridesmaids enter riding segways. Vows performed on a roller coaster. Buffet entirely made of cheese fountains. Lois. Peter, this is supposed to be a classy event. Peter. Lois, nothing's classier than fondue in every direction. Peter ropes in Quagmire as best man advisor and Cleveland as cake security. Cleveland, why do we need cake security? Peter, because last time I saw a cake unattended, I married it. B-plot, Stewie's wedding sabotage. Stewie overhears wedding and assumes Lois is replacing him with a new favorite child. Stewie, oh no, this Carol woman must be eliminated. Brian, Stewie, she's just getting married. Stewie, that's what they want you to think. He starts plotting to sabotage the event, fake invitations to random weirdos, replacing the champagne with prune juice, and hiring a mariachi band to play Only Baby Shark. Act 3. Rehearsal disaster. At the rehearsal, Peter's creative touches cause chaos. The flower girl rides in on a goat. The ring bearer is a hawk, which immediately flies off. The unity candle is a bonfire. Carol, Peter, maybe this isn't working out. Peter, nonsense. The hawk will come back, probably. Act 4. The big day. Stewie's sabotage kicks in, prune juice champagne, random strangers in weird costumes, and the mariachi band drowning out the vows. Lois glares at Peter. You'd better fix this right now. Peter rallies the gang. Quagmire distracts the strangers. Cleveland secures a new cake. Joe apprehends the hawk mid-flight, and Peter gives a heartfelt pep talk to Carol and her fiancé. Surprisingly, it works. The wedding turns out heartfelt and fun, with only minimal goat involvement. Act B. Epilogue. Griffin living room. Lois, well, you pulled it together in the end. Peter, yep. I'm basically the Gandalf of weddings. Stewie, Gandalf never had to deal with a goat that ate the guest book. Peter, he would've if he'd hired me. Cutaway. Gandalf at a Middle-earth wedding yelling, you shall not pass the hors d'oeuvres until after the speeches. Tag scene. The hawk finally returns, wearing the wedding ring on its claw and holding a tiny slice of cake. Peter, see? I told you it would come back. Opening. Griffin living room. Lois is watching a local news report. Tom Tucker. Quahog Historical claims it's haunted, and now it's the focus of a ghost hunting reality show. Peter, haunted? Lois, ghosts are just like me. They show up uninvited, make weird noises, and never pay rent. Chris, Dad, you should be a ghost hunter. Peter, Chris, I've been hunting ghosts for years, mostly the ghost of my motivation. Cutaway. Peter sitting on the couch while a transparent, lazy ghost version of himself eats chips next to him. Act 2. The hunt begins. Peter ropes in Cleveland, Joe, and Quagmire to form Phantom Force Quahog. Their equipment includes a vacuum cleaner with ghost mode written on it in marker, a frying pan for close combat, Cleveland's phone flashlight. First night at the inn, they set up cameras but end up streaming Peter eating pie in the dark for 2 hours. Peter, it's called baiting the ghosts. B-plot. Stewie's paranormal scam. Stewie sees potential profit and starts a side business selling anti-ghost gear to gullible parents, glow sticks, spirit sabers, baby monitors, phantom trackers, and garlic bread, edible wards. Brian, garlic bread isn't for ghosts. Stewie, Brian, it's for me. I'm hungry. Act 3. Evidence. The team hears creaks and strange whispers. Peter swears he sees a ghost in a hat. Turns out it's just Mayor West sleepwalking in a nightgown. Mayor West, I was chasing a dream where I was chasing a dream. They capture a blurry photo, which Peter insists shows a Victorian woman. Cleveland, Peter, that's your thumb. Peter, then my thumb's haunted. Act 4. The big night. They stage a live stream, final investigation. Stewie sneaks into fake ghost activity with fishing line and a bedsheet, planning to scare Peter. The guys are sitting at the Drunken Clam when Quagmire walks in wearing a chef's hat and carrying a frying pan. Peter, whoa, Quagmire, You opening a restaurant or just cosplaying as the Pillsbury Doughboy's creepy cousin? Quagmire. No, I'm taking a cooking class. Figured it's time to spice up my love life and my lasagna. Cleveland. Sounds innocent enough. Cutaway gag number 1. Quagmire in a classroom setting, flipping pancakes, each one perfectly landing in a different woman's purse. Quagmire. That's called a breakfast to go and stay the night. Giggity. Cutaway gag number 2. Quagmire presenting a cake shaped like a giant heart. Instructor. Wow, that's romantic. Quagmire. Thanks, I modeled it after an actual x-ray of mine from 2006. Long story. Back at the clam, Joe. So, how's the class going? Quagmire. Let's just say my souffle rose, and so did my phone bill. The Drunken Clam's neon sign flickers outside, casting a colorful glow on the street. The scene opens at the Drunken Clam, the local watering hole for the quartet of misfits who call themselves friends. Quagmire bursts through the door, shimmering in an outrageously sparkly cape that would blind any rational person, and perhaps most irrational ones too. He's clutching a deck of cards and grinning like a Cheshire cat that swallowed a pen full of ink. Peter, sucking down a pint of beer. Whoa, Quagmire, you look like David Copperfield's creepy roommate. Quagmire, with a wink and a giggle. Thanks, Peter. I'm becoming a magician, but you know, my kind of magic. Cleveland rolls his eyes, murmuring under his breath about how his mother always warned him about men in capes. That sounds unsafe. Quagmire stands under stage lights, dramatically flailing his arms as he pulls scarf after scarf from his sleeve, a never-ending stream of colors like a hyperactive rainbow just discovered caffeine. At last, the final scarf emerges, revealing a pair of women's yoga pants dangling humorously. Quagmire, with that smirky smile. Giggity, and now for my final trick. Cue audience gasping in awe and evident confusion. Somebody starts insufficiently clapping when they realize they're the only one. Back to Quagmire on stage. This time, a curvy assistant lies in a magic box. Quagmire's hands hover ominously over a saw that appears highly underused. Woman, nervously eyeing the grim tundra. Is this safe? Quagmire winking. Don't worry, I've done this 100 times, just never with a saw. The box tips over with a balancing act worthy of Cirque du Soleil, resulting in someone in the back row fainting. At least half the audience pretends to be shocked while their popcorn hits the floor. Joe leans forward, almost understandable if you squint at his mouth in dim light. So, how's the magic career going? Quagmire shrugs dismissively, tossing his cards into the air where they do absolutely nothing spectacular. Let's just say, the rabbits filed a restraining order. As if on cue, everybody laughs like this is the funniest thing since canned laughter. At the Drunken Clam, Peter, Cleveland, and Joe are talking when Quagmire bursts in wearing a business suit and carrying a briefcase. Peter. Whoa, Quagmire. What's with the suit? You finally selling timeshares in Florida? Quagmire. Nope. I just got a normal job. I'm now a motivational speaker. Joe. That's surprising. What do you motivate people to do? Quagmire. Oh, you know, follow their dreams, live without fear, and also buy my Giggity Life Coaching Starter Kit. Cutaway gag number 1. We see Quagmire giving a talk in a conference room. Quagmire. Step 1 to success. Confidence. Step 2. Avoid pants at all costs. Everyone in the audience slowly stands up and removes their pants, nodding like it makes perfect sense. Cutaway gag number 2. Quagmire at a kindergarten career day. Teacher. Mr. Quagmire, maybe keep it kid-friendly. Quagmire. Oh, relax. I'm just here to teach them how to high-five really enthusiastically. One kid high-fives him so hard he spins in a circle and yells, "Giggity!" Back at the clam. Peter, "So, how's the new job going?" Quagmire, "Great. I've already been banned from 3 community centers." Joe, "Only 3? That's personal growth." Stewie walks into the living room wearing a sparkly blazer and holding a microphone. Brian looks up from his cleverly titled book, Guide to Not Caring. Brian, "Okay, what's with the Liberace look?" Stewie, "Brian, I'm hosting my own talent competition. I call it Quahog's Got Mildly Impressive Skills." Brian tilts his head like a confused dog. Brian, "That sounds underwhelming." Stewie, "Exactly. I'm lowering expectations so no one can be disappointed." Cutaway gag number 1. A man in his 50s stands on stage, garnished with tapioca residue smudging his mustache. "Man, I can whistle through my nose while eating pudding." He performs, creating a symphony of nose whistles and splattering tapioca. The audience claps politely, clearly more impressed by his suit's pudding's preservation. Cutaway gag number 2. A woman accompanied by the diva of cats, Mr. Whiskers, steps onto stage. Woman, "This is Mr. Whiskers. He can sit still for 14 minutes straight." The audience erupts in applause as Mr. Whiskers stares into their souls. One man wipes away a tear, whispering, "Finally, an artist who understands me." Back to the living room. Brian, "So, who's the winner?" Stewie, "Oh, obviously the guy who can juggle 3 hamsters while reciting Hamilton." Brian, "That actually sounds impressive." Stewie, "Yes, but the hamsters have filed a union complaint." Brian rolls his eyes and returns to the existential questioning within his book, while Stewie walks off to negotiate with hamster management. Act I, the announcement. Opening, Quahog Town Hall, Mayor West. Citizens, I am proud to announce the first annual Quahog's Got Talent. Winner gets $5,000 and a giant inflatable key to the city. The key does not open anything. It is purely decorative or edible if you're desperate. Peter, $5,000? Lois, I have so much talent. Lois, name one. Peter, burping the theme song to Cheers. And maybe making balloon animals if you count regular balloons that look like snakes. Cutaway, Peter handing a kid a limp balloon. It's a python. Use your imagination. Act 2. The auditions the family decides to enter. Peter does stand-up comedy entirely made up of Remember That Time, stories that end with him falling down. Lois plays piano and sings, but Peter keeps adding backup vocals like woo and yeah in all the wrong places. Chris juggles raw eggs and keeps eating them mid-act. Meg reads original poetry while wearing sunglasses indoors to feel mysterious. Stewie enters with a death-defying laser escape trick, assisted by Brian, who's just there for the free snacks. B-plot, Quagmire's hidden talent. Quagmire reveals his talent is rapid-fire impressions, but all of them are of women he's dated. Cleveland. That's oddly specific. Quagmire. And profitable if the restraining orders don't kick in first. Act 3. The competition heats up. The other contestants are surprisingly good. A mime who can do the entire Star Wars saga in 2 minutes. A kid who plays the drums while riding a unicycle. Mayor West reading a phone book dramatically. Anderson Baker. Cthulhu. Stewie's act nearly wins over the judges, until Peter wanders on stage, thinking it's his turn and accidentally triggers the lasers, slicing through the stage backdrop. Cutaway. Stagehand screaming as a giant curtain falls into a cotton candy machine. Act 4. The finale. It comes down to Peter and the unicycle drummer. Peter performs an interpretive dance about the history of Quahog, which mostly involves him in colonial garb eating a giant turkey leg. Judge, that was something. Peter, thanks. It's called 1776, but tastier. The unicycle drummer wins, but Peter gets a special recognition, inflatable key for most unnecessary use of a turkey leg. Act V. Epilogue, Griffin living room, Lois. Well, we didn't win, but at least we had fun. Peter. Yeah, and now we have this giant inflatable key. Where should we put it? Stewie. In the trash. Peter. Wrong, in the pool. Cutaway. Peter floating in the pool on the inflatable key, eating another turkey leg. Act I. The distraction. Opening, Griffin kitchen, Lois. Peter, can you please fix the loose hinge on the back door? You've been putting it off for a month. Peter. Of course, Lois. I'll get right on it. After I return this DVD to Quahog Video. Lois. That store closed 8 years ago. Peter. Exactly, they'll never see it coming. Cutaway. Peter sliding a DVD into the ruins of a Blockbuster, only to be chased by raccoons in polo shirts. On his way, Peter sees a flyer for a Quahog City treasure hunt with a $1,000 prize. Peter. Fix a hinge or find treasure. Sorry, Lois. Adventure calls, and so does the siren song of that money. Act 2. Recruiting the crew. Peter enlists Cleveland, Quagmire, and Joe to join his expedition team. Joe. Peter, last time you dragged us on adventure, we ended up in a swamp, covered in leeches. Peter. Joe, those leeches taught us teamwork. Cutaway. The guys arguing while a leech in a top hat shouts, "Focus." They're given the first clue. Seek the oldest tree in Quahog Park. Peter. Easy. That's the one I carved but printed back in '92. B-plot. Stewie's epic loot. Stewie overhears treasure hunt and decides to do his own. An online auction for a rare vintage ray gun. Brian. How much is this going to cost you? Stewie. A modest $7,000. Brian. You don't have $7,000. Stewie. Correct, which is why I'm selling your signed first edition of The Great Gatsby. Brian. We're not speaking until this subplot ends. Act 3. The hunt gets weird. The gang's clues take them to the bowling alley, where Peter insists on playing one quick game that lasts 4 hours. The Quahog Public Library, where they're kicked out for using the microfilm machine to watch old Baywatch episodes. A pier, where a fisherman swears the next clue is inside the belly of the legendary fish, Old Slappy. Cutaway. Peter fighting a giant fish while Eye of the Tiger plays, then realizing it's just a guy in a fish costume. Act 4. The final clue. They finally end up at the Quahog Historical Museum, where the last clue is hidden in a replica pirate ship. Peter. This is it, boys. The big payoff. Quagmire. Or another restraining order from the Parks Department. Inside the captain's chest, they find a gift card for free coffee for a year at Quahog Bean Company. Total value, $312. Peter. This is technically treasure. Joe. Yeah, if you like coffee. Peter. Oh, I don't. But I do like selling gift cards to strangers in the parking lot. Act V. Epilogue, Griffin kitchen, Lois. So, did you fix the door? Peter. Not yet, but I got enough coffee to keep me awake while I think about fixing it. Lois. Peter, don't worry, next month we hunt for the Holy Grail. I hear it's buried under the mall. Stewie was sitting in the living room, sipping his juice box like a seasoned CEO. Stewie. Brian, I've decided it's time I stop wasting my genius on household schemes and instead open a tech company. Brian. Oh boy, what are you selling? Another mind control device. Stewie. Please, Brian, that was last week. No, I'm launching Juicebook. It's like Facebook, but exclusively for toddlers who want to rate juice boxes. Cutaway gag. We see a daycare full of toddlers holding juice boxes and yelling at a tiny laptop. Toddler number 1. 1 star. This juice box leaks when I bite it. Toddler number 2. 5 stars. I'm on my 3rd sugar high today. Meanwhile, the teacher looks horrified as one toddler updates their status. Currently plotting escape. Hashtag baby breakout. Back to living room. Brian sighs. Yeah, I'm sure this'll go well until the toddlers figure out how to unionize. Stewie smirks. Oh, I'm counting on it. If you want, I can make the next one extra long, with multiple cutaway gags like a full Family Guy episode script. That way it'll feel just like watching the show. Stewie walked into the kitchen with oversized headphones perched on his tiny head, a studio microphone dangling from one hand, and a rather smug look plastered across his cherubic face. Brian looked up from his spot at the counter, eyes narrowing with curious skepticism. Oh no, what's this? Brian, Stewie chirped, seemingly unfazed and obviously thrilled with himself. I've decided to chart the airwaves with my genius. I'm starting my very own podcast, The Stewie Griffin Experience. It's an enticing concoction of politics, world domination tips, and in-depth juice box reviews. Brian's eyebrow arched in an expression of light amusement mixed with disbelief. Sounds exhausting. Cutaway gag number 1. The scene shifted to Stewie in his bedroom, sitting with a lordly posture behind an elaborate display of recording equipment. And now, Stewie declared into the mic with all the gravitas of a historical figure, my top 5 coups of the 20th century. Spoiler alert, most of them involve beards. He paused for dramatic effect, delicately sipping from a juice box before grimacing, and this one tastes like regret. Cutaway gag number 2. In a shadowy recording studio, the lights dim, casting an air of intrigue and conspiracy as Stewie sat opposite Elon Musk. Stewie, in his usual shrewd manner, proposed, "So, you want to go to Mars? I want to conquer Earth. Maybe we can meet halfway and just take over the moon?" Elon squinted thoughtfully, nodding slowly. "I'll think about it." Stewie smirked formidably. "Good. I'll email you the invasion plans." Back in the kitchen, Brian, trying to stifle a yawn, casually inquired, "So, how many listeners do you have?" Stewie hesitated but then announced with a hint of pride, But one of them is Vladimir Putin, so, quality over quantity." Brian chuckled as he shook his head at the audacity and irony of it all. Wanting to go all out and make the next one a full triple plot Family Guy episode so it plays out like the real show? That way Peter, Stewie/Brian, and Quagmire all have their own insane stories that intersect.
Stewie bursts into the living room wearing sunglasses, a Hawaiian shirt, and holding his time machine remote. "Brian, what's with the Magnum PI look?" "Stewie, I'm going on vacation, in time. Why settle for a beach when I can sip juice in ancient Rome?" Cutaway gag number 1. Stewie lounging in a Roman bathhouse, sipping from a sippy cup while 2 gladiators argue over who gets the last towel. "Gladiator, the baby was here first." "Stewie, yes, and I'll have you know I tipped the attendant in goldfish crackers." Cutaway gag number 2. Stewie at Woodstock, 1969, sitting in a lawn chair between 2 hippies. "Hippie far out, man, you're like a talking baby." Stewie, yes, well, you're like a walking shampoo commercial that smells faintly of regret. Back in living room. "Brian, so, how was it?" Stewie, fine, until I accidentally invented disco."
Brian is sitting at the kitchen table with Stewie, nervously flipping through note cards. Stewie, "Brian, what's with the index cards? Finally writing that apology letter to the mailman you bit in 2008. Brian, "No, I'm trying stand-up comedy tonight. I think I've got the wit for it." Stewie, "Oh yes, because nothing says comedic genius like reading your own tweets out loud." Cutaway gag number 1. We see Brian on stage at a small comedy club. Brian, so, dating apps are weird, right? I swiped right on a poodle and... Audience member yells, "Do a trick." Brian sighs and rolls over. The crowd goes wild. Cutaway gag number 2. Brian doing a Netflix special. The title card says sit,
Stay.
laugh. Brian, so a Great Dane walks into a bar. Camera pans to reveal a literal Great Dane walking into the bar and saying, "Buddy, I'm here for my paycheck." Back to kitchen. Stewie smirks. "Well, Brian, at least if the jokes don't land, you can always fall back on fetching."
Brian groans.
Yeah, it turns out I'm the underdog of comedy.